I'm News for Jackson Chief Meteorologist David Eckert. Well, for the last 3 years, we've talked a lot about La Nina and its impacts in the tropical Atlantic and here across southeast Georgia and northeast Florida. Now it's looking more and more likely we are exiting La Nina pattern and quickly heading into an El Nino pattern, which means some pretty big changes, not just to our weather locally, but really globally across the entire Earth. So first off, let's talk about what actually an El Nino weather pattern is. It has actually absolutely nothing to do with what's going on here in the United States. In fact, El Nino sets up way down towards the south into the coast of Peru. What ends up happening is we see warmer ocean water develop out into parts of the Peruvian coastline. This extends all the way out towards central sections of the Pacific Ocean. And what this does is it really changes some of the mid and upper level air patterns that we deal with for a prolonged period of time. We're talking about months to possibly even 1 to 2 years. One of the biggest changes it does is it changes how hurricanes and tropical systems develop. It produces a lot of what we call wind shear in what's called the main development region. It also produces quite a bit of wind shear into parts of the Caribbean. Wind shear is bad news for hurricanes and tropical storms. It really kind of shreds them apart, and in some cases completely dissipates weaker tropical systems, allowing them to never even form. And we haven't really had that the last couple of years, which is why we've had such a blockbuster hurricane season now for about 2 to 3 years. And you can see the faster winds aloft really begin to decrease that hurricane activity, but it also makes some changes in the winter weather pattern. One big thing we notice here is the jet stream, which has kind of been doing something like this the last couple of winters. It begins to slide more towards Southern California and in our area, and that means we normally have a wet, unsettled, and somewhat stormy winter, especially as we get towards, say, that time period in December all the way through February and March. So why do we think we're getting El Nino conditions? Well, a lot of it's due to the fact that the waters are already beginning to warm off the Peruvian coastline. In fact, you can see here, this is a water temperature anomaly, and already water temperatures are above average off the Peru coast. Now, the reason we're not in a full-blown La Nina, or El Nino, just yet is the water temperatures have not really accelerated out in the open waters of the Pacific, but it is definitely something we'll be keeping a very close eye on. In fact, the Climate Prediction Center is now issued El Nino watch, which means conditions are becoming favorable for an El Nino to develop over the next couple of months. And again, that could mean some big changes here locally, including a lower total of named storms and hurricanes in the Atlantic Basin, and possibly an unsettled winter as we head towards the back end of 2022. I'm Assistant Chief Meteorologist David Eckert for Channel 4, the local station.